Hello and welcome to the Moment Podcast live from 100.3 KMUL The Mule and on YouTube. My name is Rudy and today I'm joined by my co-host Michael.
Hi.
Today we will be listening to the album Facelift by Alice in Chains. If you are listening on the radio right now, just stay tuned because we'll be playing the full album right after these sponsorships. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to pause the video and go listen to this album because we can't play it on YouTube. Before we get into discussion, we will play the music. You are listening to Facelift by Alice in Chains on the Moment, live from 100.3 KMUL The Mule. See you in a bit. We are back. Before we get into discussion, per usual, I'm going to give some context to the artist and the album just so we can know a little bit more about both and hopefully understand the music a little better. So I'll start with Alice in Chains. They are an American rock band formed in Seattle in 1987 by guitarist Jerry Cantrell and vocalist Lane Staley. They became one of the defining acts of the 1990s grunge movement, but their sound leaned darker and heavier than their peers, blending sludgy metal riffs with haunting vocal harmonies and emotionally raw lyrics. The interplay between Cantrell's and Staley's voices created an eerie, almost ghostly texture that became the band's signature. Themes of addiction, depression, and alienation run through much of their work, giving their music a stark honesty that set them apart. Even after Staley's passing in 2002, Alice in Chains continued on with vocalist William Duvall, carrying forward their legacy of heavy, deeply human rock. Um, and about their album Facelift, it was released in 1990. It was their debut studio album and one of the first records to bring Seattle's underground sound to a mainstream audience. The album broke through thanks to hit single Man in the Box, whose menacing talk box riff and Lane Staley's powerful vocals became instantly recognizable. Unlike many of their grunge contemporaries, Facelift was rooted in metal with thick, down-tuned guitars and a sense of gloom that bordered on gothic. Lyrically, it explored despair, self-destruction, and moral decay, yet it delivered those themes with clarity and conviction. The record was a slow burn at first, but eventually went double platinum, paving the way for the explosion of Seattle's music scene just a year later. Facelift remains a landmark debut, a grim yet electrifying statement that proved heavy music could be both brutally honest and radio ready. Very cool. Michael, give me your first impression on this album.
I'm a huge fan of Facelift. It's one of my favorite Alice in Chains albums. Last year I listened to it nonstop. It was, yeah.
Is it the favorite?
I wouldn't say it's the favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorites. I think
Okay.
my all-time favorite would be Jar of Flies.
Is that what order does that come in?
That's their third one.
Third one. Okay. So yeah, that goes against what we were saying in our last episode. First album did not make the cut for favorite. I wouldn't have an opinion on that yet because I have not listened to enough Alice in Chains. He got me listening to their EP Sap, which was really cool. But other than that, I have not heard much of their stuff until now with this album that I greatly enjoyed. Very cool, kind of like a similar appeal to me as the last album we listened to, Core by Stone Temple Pilots. I got another, very epic vibe from it. I just think epic when I hear it. It made me kind of, you know, I, w- I, w- I think I realized that every album I listen to, I imagine myself walking to it in some kind of way. Because we were talking about those albums earlier where, I imagine skipping or like prancing through forests. This made me want to walk with my chest out, like I own the building. It made me feel on top of the world, even though it's covering some pretty dark stuff. Despite that, it is epic, and I absolutely loved it. So we talked about this in our last episode, the MTV Unplugged. But I read that Man in the Box music video was the first grunge album to be on MTV, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, did and you said that they also were they did a MTV Unplugged as well.
Yes, I that was probably the most influential one. That was the last, I think, public like performance by them before Lane passed away. After that, they kind of just stopped making music.
Yeah, yeah, that's so what was like? How long did they make music for? Or I guess when did they end? When did the band kind of close
I
out?
think their last album came out in, I want to say, 96. That might not be true. 95. Their last album came out in 95. Then they had their Unplugged in 96. And then they kind of stopped for a little bit. And then Lane passed away in 2002.
Huh. Okay. Um, I'm reading here. Do they is there still like performing happening amongst the band? Or they
Yeah, so they got a new lead singer, and
okay.
they released 2 or 3 albums after Lane passed.
How do we feel about that?
They're not bad, but it's not the same.
It's
without
not.
Lane.
I feel like at that point, and not just with Alice in Chains, this goes for like any band where this is the case. I say make a new band, make a new band
Yeah.
name. It can be similar, but like to me, when a core person that was a part of making the music is out, then it's not that band anymore. It's a different band.
And Mike Starr, their bassist, also passed away.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Jerry Cantrell has pretty good vocals though.
Yeah. Would you say who would you say is like the head? Who runs it now? Who's in charge of Alice in Chains, if you know?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I want to say Jerry, because he's been with it since the beginning.
Cool. Yeah. Um I see a lot of metal influences.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about there's some like a lot of the guitars heavily driven from like Black Sabbath and
Yeah.
old metal bands, and we also talked about this last episode where we were trying to define between if the album was metal or grunge, and you were saying that um, core was very obviously grunge to you, but this one there's also conversation, and seems a lot more controversial between if it's metal or grunge.
Yeah.
We kind of covered that in the last, but I think I just want your opinion on both. Like, what would you say this one leads into more?
I'd say it leans more to grunge, but there's definitely heavy metal influence.
Yeah. For me, I would think that it's more like you got to give it time almost to give it that genre, because
Mm-hmm.
it it seems like it influenced so much of the genre.
Yeah.
That it's kind of a part of it after that. Like even if you I I guess it's all just like you can never truly say what the genre is, but um I just think it fits more into grunge because of what it's done for grunge. Now, I'm trying to think of that for like the Fishman's album we listened to. Like, I don't, I wouldn't say it's reggae, even though there's so much reggae influence in it. Like it doesn't influence reggae, so it's not, yeah. So, do you know much about the song "Man in the Box"? I was reading about how it was inspired by censorship that was kind of going on at the time.
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't really done too much looking into that song. I've done other songs on the album though.
Yeah. For Man in the Box, it says it was written as a commentary on censorship in the media, particularly animal cruelty and how the public is fed information. Um, I don't see too much um talk on animal cruelty as like I feel like I did when I was younger,
Yeah.
or like the importance of it. Maybe we're just on to new things now. But kind of kind of related to the Orca album, the Bjork album. That was kind of a little bit of a commentary, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
Lane Staley, he's iconic voice. He's, you know, defining for this band. Um, do you know if he did any solo work, and if so, or work with any other bands?
Yeah, he worked with, or he made a passion project. They were called Mad Season, and it consisted of a bunch of people. I think someone from Pearl Jam. I think Mike McCready was part of Mad Season. Um, and there were a few
Yep.
other people. I can't remember which bands they were from off the top of my head.
Barrett Martin from Screaming Trees.
That's what it was, yeah.
And a guy named John Baker Saunders. But yeah, so I remember you recommending me this. They call it a super group.
Yeah.
Because it really is. It's just a bunch of really big people from a bunch of different bands coming together. Tell me a little bit about that album and how it kind of relates to this one that we just heard. Can you hear influence from Lane Staley on this?
Yeah, the way he stretches his voice sometimes in the vocals, but it's actually a lot mellower. It's like a really mellow album. There's a few songs that have some grunge influence, but for the most part, it's mellow.
Yeah. So let's do what we've been doing and talk about this album cover because I love this. It is
a good
so
one.
cool, and I already know my opinions on this, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, it's just a really weird album. It catches your attention,
Oh yeah,
and it definitely relates to the name of the album.
Face is lifting.
I don't know who. I can't remember who was on the album.
Yeah, I'll look that up. I'm curious.
I want to say it was Mike Starr, but I could be wrong, and I probably am.
Test your Allison Chains. It is bassist Mike Starr.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this cover so much. It's because his face, like, do you think they
It just doesn't look
distorted
human.
it?
I think they definitely did, but it just doesn't
so
look
crazy.
human.
Yeah, and then the colors, and I
The
love
super harsh colors.
like
yeah.
I not even listening to Alice in Chains growing up. I know what their font is. I know what that logo almost is because it's so iconic.
They've got a distinct font. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the text at the bottom. I just love everything about it. It is a great cover. This is something, even if I didn't like the album, I'd be like, if I can get this little vinyl cover for cheap, I'd just buy the cover. It looks sick. I love like a trippy album cover. It 100% once again really fits the album to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just crazy looking. Very cool. Would you recommend if I were to like listen to these albums? Should I listen to Alice in Chains from their earliest origins to where they're at now, or should I just hop to all the good albums and skip some?
I mean, you only really need to listen to the first four. There are some good songs in some of the newer ones, but for the most part, the first four are what you need.
Yeah, I the reason I ask is because that seems to be the case with these bands that go for a little too long or switch up people in it and stuff. So yeah, take Michael's recommendation if you are going to listen to more of Alice in Chains. Maybe just stick to the first four. Put your feet in, maybe see what the rest is like, but it doesn't sound like it is the same Alice in Chains you'll hear early on. Yeah, so I was thinking we could go over some of the themes in this album. What did you notice?
I feel like it has to do with addiction. Like Lane Staley had a horrible heroin addiction,
Mm.
and it's that theme's prevalent throughout all of their music. But that I mean, that's at least what I think it's about.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's songs like "Bleed the Freak," "We Die Young," "Put You Down," "Love Hate Love." Yeah,
Uh huh. And they were like, do you think this was like a very personal thing to just him, or was it like a? Do you know if like other people in the band had influence on the songwriting, or was this all just Staley?
I know Jerry Cantrell helped out with music. I don't know if he was addicted or not.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a weird question. You know, if everybody in the band was addicted. Yeah. Now, I hope that we can play this whole thing all the way through for you because uh, it's one of those albums would listen to again all the way through instead of just like the select songs I like, because I just think it works that way. Um, but there are some explicit ones on here, and it's just an older album. So if I can't find a radio edit for the whole thing, we might have to go miss a few. So that's basically it. I want to get into our final opinions. Um, Favorite song, rate the album cover, rate the album. Give me some reason behind it. You go first.
For a while, my favorite song was "Real Thing," but I think right now it ain't like that. Um, I would give the album cover like a 7.5 out of 10, and I'd probably give the album like an 8.
An 8, really?
Yeah.
I was expecting higher from you.
Well, I after listening to Jar of Flies, I can't put it higher. Than
Okay,
that.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I probably I probably changed my opinion that I have on it now much after listening to more of them. Once I can get more of a feel for like everything they do.
Mhm.
But this album for me was a no. I don't want to be like that 8.5 guy, but it just feels like a clean middle ground. It's just like yeah, I really like it, but I can't pinpoint like if it's just one of the best things to me yet. I need to listen to it more. Um, but yeah, I thought this album was great. Very raw, very um, catchy at times, and I just think the dirtiness really appeals to me. I want it to make me feel cool. It made me feel really cool. And on top of that, it's discussing some really deeper things that I kind of, look past, but I can still appreciate in the album. So, yeah, giving it an 8.7, so I don't have the same score. It was really good. I loved it. Album cover, uh, 10 out of 10 to me. I thought it was so cool. I love the colors, love all the text on it. Um, yeah, trippy, awesome. And favorite song was, oh man, I'm gonna say Confusion for right now. Um, I I just found it, cool to me. I don't really have much else to say other than I found it cool. That's kind of my opinion on the whole album. It's easier to just call it cool because I don't really have good words to describe how it made me feel because I kind of just get into I start imagining myself grilling to all this music. So, would you consider this dad rock before we go? Is this fit in the dad rock? When people say dad rock, would you say this is that? Because that's what I imagine. I felt like a dad listening to this.
I mean, I guess so. I'd say dad rock's more like late '90s, like puddle of mud, um, stained, Creed, stuff like that. I'd say that's more dad rock. But yeah, there are like Man in the Box is definitely dad rock.
Yeah, maybe just grunge to me. I think maybe when I'm a dad one day I'll just be listening to grunge. Because I don't know why that's what goes in my head. I just feel like I weigh 200 pounds more and I have a beard and I'm, you know, being a father to this music. But yeah, that was Facelift by Alice in Chains. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I love the album. Sounds like we all did. Next album we will be doing will be a surprise because I do not know yet. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.